Tell me this isn't real, I muttered, staring at the blurry photo lighting up my phone. There, tied to a white plastic lawn chair with neon green garden hoses, half smiling like he was trapped in a bizarre backyard hostage situation, sat my younger brother, Ryan. He had a jumbo pool noodle behind his head like some kind of ridiculous crown, and his phone still rested in his lap, clearly snapped mid-livestream. Behind him stood an irate woman in a giant sun hat and sunglasses, pointing dramatically toward the lens like she was issuing some kind of royal decree. The caption read, "You have no authority here, young man." What sent me into a full-on coughing fit of disbelieving laughter, though, was the message that came with the photo from Sheriff Marks himself. "Hey, your brother's okay. This just came into dispatch. Might have been citizen arrested by Karen." Ryan wasn't just my kid brother, was Deputy Ryan Ellison, youngest sworn officer in county history. Sure, he looked like he'd be more at home in a high school math class than a patrol car, but the kid had a badge, a sidearm, and the kind of unshakable patience that made most rookies look like toddlers on a sugar crash. The idea that anyone, let alone someone wielding pool toys and HOA-grade delusion, had managed to detain him was so ridiculous it had to be real. And if anyone in this town was capable of pulling something that absurd off, it was Loretta Danvers. Loretta, self-declared empress of the non-existent Oak Bend Estates Homeowners Association, wielded her imaginary authority with the grace of a malfunctioning vending machine and the ego of a minor deity. She ruled with laminated flyers, passive-aggressive lawn critiques, and an ever-present clipboard she treated like a holy artifact. Her sense of justice was a heady cocktail of daytime courtroom dramas, wine coolers, and an old civics textbook she only half-skimmed. Once, she called 911 because someone's Halloween decoration, a perfectly harmless skeleton, was psychologically tormenting the neighborhood's youth. Another time, she tried to get a teenager evicted for playing acoustic guitar. At noon, the woman wasn't just a Karen, she was the final evolution of Karen, a boss-level character from the worst HOA horror game never made. The morning had started off normal. Ryan had the day off, and we planned to meet for our usual Thursday lunch at Millie's Diner. I got there first, ordered our burgers and fries, and waited. 10 minutes passed, then 20. I figured he'd stopped to help someone or maybe got delayed by traffic. Then came the photo. Then a call from dispatch saying Ryan's body cam had gone dark after last pinging from a location labeled Community Pool Shed. My stomach dropped like a stone. I grabbed our food and bolted, jumping in my truck, speeding out of the diner lot. On the way, I called Ryan. Voicemail. Again. Nothing. I called the sheriff. "Yeah," Mark said, sounding tired. "We saw it go down live for a bit." He must have triggered his stream before the camera got blocked. Looked like he was trying to show his badge. She just kept screaming about fake cops and deep state youth infiltrators. "He's a cop," I snapped. "Technically, yes. But she used lawn furniture, pool gear. We're trying to avoid escalation." "She tied up a cop with a pool noodle," he said. I hung up and floored it. By the time I rolled into Oak Bend, I could hear Loretta's voice before I even saw her. Her shrill declarations echoed through the cul-de-sac like an angry goose with a megaphone. She stood center stage between two overflowing garbage bins, arms flailing, shouting at someone behind them. "Young man, you will stay right where you are until real law enforcement arrives," she barked. A few neighbors peeked out from behind their curtains. One dude had his phone out recording. I parked half on the sidewalk and scanned for Ryan. That's when I spotted the shed faded blue, door hanging crooked, sitting beside the long-drained community pool. Through a crack in the door, I saw movement. I sprinted across the lawn, yanked the door open, and there he was. Deputy Ryan Ellison, sitting in a busted plastic chair, a pool skimmer balanced across his lap like a makeshift jousting lance. A slice of duct tape flapped uselessly from the armrest. His expression was stone-cold deadpan. "Took you long enough," he said. "What the hell happened?" I asked. "She saw me walking down the street," Ryan sighed, standing up and shaking off the hose. "I parked 2 blocks away to get a walk-in before lunch. She thought I was casing houses. Tried to call the cops. I told her I was the cops. Showed her my badge. She said I was impersonating law enforcement, and then, well, she tackled you with a pool net?" "And a surprising amount of enthusiasm," he added. Loretta shrieked from behind us. "That's right. I conducted a lawful citizen's arrest under the Community Protection Initiative of 2006. That's not a real thing." I yelled. It's in the bylaws. There are no bylaws. Ryan dusted himself off. She also took my badge, my phone, and accused me of being a government clone. She said he had cloned cop energy, I added, laughing despite myself. Moments later, a sheriff cruiser rolled up. Sheriff Marks stepped out, looking more amused than annoyed. Afternoon, folks, he said. Loretta puffed up like a rooster. Sheriff, I have detained an infiltrator. He refused to provide credentials. He's carrying suspicious items. Possibly illegal? Possibly experimental. He's a deputy, Mark said, already rubbing his temples. No, she huffed, yanking a wrinkled paper from her purse. According to this pamphlet I created, real deputies wear Navy uniforms and must be over 6 feet tall. This boy is clearly neither. Marks blinked. That's not how any of this works. I demand substance testing. He might be under neural influence. Ryan crossed his arms. Ma'am, I'm going to need my badge and phone back. You'll get nothing, she snapped. Until you admit you're part of the Youth Infiltration Division sent to destabilize local communities. She thinks you're a sleeper agent, I whispered. Watched Homeland once, Ryan replied. Loretta turned to storm off and tripped over her own hose. A few neighbors snickered behind their windows. Ryan finally cracked a smile. So, lunch still on? Yeah, I said, clapping him on the back. But you're definitely going viral. As Sheriff Marks cuffed Loretta for obstructing law enforcement and general idiocy, Ryan leaned toward me and grinned. Next time I'm hungry, I'm driving straight through Oak Bend. But we both knew this wasn't over. Loretta Danvers wasn't the type to back down. When normal people apologize, she prints new flyers. She insisted the shed was on shared territory, meaning she had legal control over any incidents within. Marks tried to keep it professional, but even he started to crack. The whole thing spiraled further when she tried to serve him a cease and desist letter handwritten, Comic Sans, complete with a counterfeit county seal she made in Microsoft Word. That's a felony, Mark said. It's decorative, Loretta claimed. No, it's literally a felony. Back at the station, Ryan filed his report like it was any other Tuesday. He included details like the hoses brand, the make and model of the lawn chair, and listed the confiscated items, his phone, his badge, and a copy of a conspiracy newsletter Loretta handed him mid-arrest titled The Truth Behind the Trash Bins. When asked how he felt about it all, Ryan just shrugged. I've had worse first dates. By noon, the sheriff's department released a redacted version of the body cam footage. Not to capitalize, just to get ahead of the inevitable internet frenzy. Too late. A teenager across the street had already filmed the whole thing from his bedroom window and posted it to TikTok. 10,000 views in an hour. By sunset, over 1 million. Ryan became an overnight legend. Loretta's rants were remixed into songs. Phrases like cloned cop energy and criminally symmetrical face were on coffee mugs by morning. But Loretta didn't retreat. From her holding cell, she demanded to speak to a UN liaison, wrote emergency decrees on napkins, and filed a handwritten notice of sovereign residential order naming herself acting neighborhood czar. When asked if she wanted a public defender, she scoffed. I represent myself. I've taken multiple YouTube courses in legal battle strategy. Then came the lawsuit. A courier knocked on our door, handing Ryan a padded envelope stamped, Confidential Judiciary, Private Citizen Court. Inside, a 3-page lawsuit in Comic Sans demanding compensation for emotional trauma, unauthorized weapon display, and dangerous proximity of a holstered object near HOA flowerbeds. There was even a printed photo of Ryan's belt with a red circle around his sidearm and a post-it note that read, menacing object. This isn't a lawsuit, Ryan muttered. It's a cry for help stapled together. Marks brought in the department's legal advisor, Rachel Monroe. She took one look at it and howled with laughter. Suggested we frame it. But Loretta wasn't done. She called the mayor's office, local news, animal control, and even the dog shelter. She accused Ryan of psychological warfare through calm tone and patronizing patience. She accused our entire family of working for a shadow group she called, yes, Youth Enforcement Syndicate. There was a logo. It looked like a Cub Scout holding handcuffs. Meanwhile, the internet exploded. Memes, remixes, dramatic readings. Someone made an animated short using Barbie dolls. Another made a plush lawn chair with a tiny badge. Eventually, Sheriff Marks opened a full investigation into Loretta. What they found shocked even the skeptics. She had fake citations. A binder labeled Community Order Manifesto. A spreadsheet tracking lawn growth. She'd been sending real-looking violation notices with payment slips going to a P.O. box she controlled. The community snapped. An emergency meeting at the rec center drew record crowds. One woman said Loretta fined her for aromatic disturbance from spicy cooking. A teenager admitted she followed him home, wrote down his bike's serial number. A World War II vet revealed Loretta tried twice to confiscate his lawn flamingos. The vote to ban her from all future community involvement? Unanimous. She showed up the next day in a black cloak declaring herself a sovereign peace enforcer and tried to relieve Ryan of duty on behalf of the true republic. Marks had her escorted out. Again. Weeks later, we returned to the pool shed for a laugh. Someone had taped a sign to the door, Deputy Ryan's outpost. Underneath, beware of clipboard. Ryan crossed his arms, smiling. For all my training, he said, nothing prepared me for suburban warfare. And just when we thought it was over came the trial. But that, well, I'll save for next time. Let's just say, justice was served with pool noodles, TikTok fame, and a restraining order written in crayon.